All right, so you see on the screen 4 GOJOs, okay? And in this video, what we're going to be doing is giving the pros and cons to each GOJO so that you understand how each works. Now, this is pretty important, especially if you're more so on the fence about summoning for Hollow Purple. This might help you make a decision. So I have showcases now on my channel for the 3 GOJOs not on launch, right? That means Hollow Purple GOJO, okay, the one that's on global currently, Green GOJO, okay, then Hidden Inventory GOJO, who was the half anniversary unit on JP, but on global we might be seeing him for the 100-day anniversary or surprisingly sooner, but hopefully 100-day anniversary. And then my king himself, Domain GOJO, whose skin I actually did buy on JP because JP is a banger game and the skin looks fucking phenomenal. So with those 3 units and also Blue GOJO in mind, we're comparing all 4 of them to the other GOJOs to see what their pros are and what the cons are. So we're going to start and go in chronological order from the earliest to the latest unit. So let's talk about Blue GOJO. I don't even really need to pull up his kit because it's pretty bare bones in all, like, just really considering it. It is really just bare bones in terms of he's doing damage and not taking damage, okay? So this guy's good, right? This guy's very good. Now, one of the best things about him is that he's one of the only good blue units if we really look at it, okay? So let me pull this up, but wrong one. I've been doing that a lot lately, but if we check, like in terms of blue units, the only one that really compares to him is the most recent one, fucking Inumaki, okay? Inumaki is where it starts getting a bit better, but even Inumaki can take damage, I'm pretty sure, but he does have an even stronger AoE ultimate, and he does debuff, right? That's the thing. He's basically Blue GOJO if he could debuff. The problem is Inumaki can take damage, okay, unless I'm forgetting attack immunity. So yeah, but like there's not really some amazingly good unit compared to this Blue GOJO, which is one of the main things why he's still so relevant. And he has a pretty good AoE ult, and the best thing about it is that this is the only GOJO who you could really get it off twice between the GOJOs that leave, okay? Not counting Hidden Inventory, he's the only GOJO who could really get his ult off twice. And obviously he can't take damage, but I'm only counting that in for the first one. Now, what you could definitely say though is compared to the other GOJOs, all 3, in terms of total damage increase from what the GOJO does, counting that this GOJO is a support, and he does extra damage from other units too, technically. This GOJO does the least amount of damage, and overall, he leaves too quick sometimes to where he might not get the job done in some cases, where the other 3 GOJOs can get the job done a bit better, or might end up killing. So that's the first GOJO. Okay, he's pretty decent, but clearly he was the first one. Now, Hollow Purple GOJO, Green GOJO. Now, the main thing is that he's just a nuke. Okay, he's way more of a nuke than Blue GOJO. And what's pretty cool is he does have some debuffs, okay? So he's able to debuff the enemy, which can end up helping the whole team, all right? Which is pretty nice. And what is also good is that there's no stress for his ultimate because his ult is always going to be used on the last turn because that's when he leaves, right? In general, this GOJO, what he's really good for is tower, right? His thing is just wipe the enemies. And especially floor 21, which has 4 annoying ass enemies, well, this GOJO is very easily and very quickly going to be able to take care of them with his AoE ultimate. That is double Blue GOJOs, but he could get less stacks in, 1 less stack than Blue GOJO. But considering his ult does 2 times as much damage, and also his buffs are slightly more strong and he debuffs, it is overall better. But as for his cons, he only lasts 7 turns again, right? Same as Blue GOJO. And he leaves once ult is used. So that is definitely a bit of a con, is that yes, it's good that there's no stress, but it's also the fact that no matter what, you have to use the ult last turn essentially, or else you lose GOJO early. And then he might end up making the enemies do more damage, right? That's something that's pretty important to remember, is that he actually has a thing where he buffs the enemy, right? He makes them do 10% more damage, which isn't a lot, but it still could hurt, right? It still is able to hurt. So keep that in mind. And finally, there's also very good future units that are green, okay? And I mean, we'll talk about those right now. I mean, first of all, hi everyone. I didn't mean to show my face. My room is a mess, but anyway, Doesn't really matter. I forgot my camera was plugged in, but all of these units are pretty good. Besides maybe Saki, like Saki's okay, but Geto, Maki, Nobara, and Megumi are all very good units, right? And you don't necessarily, like, the thing is, Gojo's great on his own, but then these units together are like, maybe you could consider them even better, right? So that's something to keep in mind, especially Geto with Nobara. It's such a deadly combo, but obviously that does take a lot, right? That does take a lot to actually get running. So that's something to actually consider, but still, they are pretty strong. So that's the thing, right? You could get Gojo, but you have no cubes now, but you might have some later, of course. And then Mahito is obviously free. So there is that for sure. That doesn't really count for blue units because blue units is Baron. And let's talk about yellow units now. So, or well, the yellow Gojo, right? So there's a lot of things that goes with this Gojo, but it's also that he's pretty much the best DPS in the game. Until maybe Red Gojo, but Red Gojo is a bit of an iffy case. The thing is with him is that in terms of yellow units, well, there's Degumi, okay? But he's more of a support that can be ran with hidden inventory, so it's a bit different. But like they fill pretty different roles. And then yellow Itadori is on a completely different team structure in general, where he could be used with Domain Gojo when hidden inventory can't, right? So these are really the only three big units in yellow. So we have to keep that in mind, and one of them is literally a support. So yellow Gojo, out of the three Gojos so far, in my opinion, is the most sought after for pretty much everyone. And let's talk about why. So he has the highest damage of any Gojo, right? Just period. For his ult. Why is that? Because his stack here, being a 80% total with 30% crit rate, could be stacked 3 times, okay? Then his ult is 1500, which when you put it alongside the skill 2 buff, it's very strong together. So he has the highest damage. But the next thing is he doesn't leave battle. So in total, like if we really count overall damage, he could technically do the most because you could spam his ult a lot, right? But his downside, well, we'll talk about the last positive, is that he could taunt on his skill 1, which is actually very strong because he does have attack immunity for the first 2 turns. But then he has 2 turns where he will take damage. But considering he has a lot of HP, like my Gojo, 25k. But considering he has a lot of HP, he'll be fine, right? But after 4 turns are up, he could get it for another 3 turns, right? So it's going to be very hard to kill him still. He lasts forever and still does very good damage while having pretty much the highest AoE damage in the game. Maybe rivaling Toji, but I'd say his is definitely higher than Toji's in my opinion. And also being able to use pretty much the best recollection bit, being a 90% damage increase for yellow. So it's very strong. His only con is that he could take damage, but usually he's not dying. Like overall, this Gojo is very, very strong, right? I definitely find myself having a lot of fun with him when I did my showcase, which remember all the showcases will be down below. But yeah, overall, he's good. He doesn't leave the battle, able to do damage, and does have attack immunity for most of it. So very huge. Then of course we got Red Gojo, my favorite unit in the game. Definitely one of my favorite units in any gacha almost ever because of how he works. Like they cooked with him. So best unit in the game, just outright. Okay, he is the best unit because he is the ultimate support while still being a good DPS. He's able to give up to a 300% damage increase on his ultimate, which is absolutely insane. So he has 100% here, and then another 200% here. In total, 300%, which is insane because that is an AoE debuff for 4 turns. But more than that, he could stun. He just stuns. He AoE stuns guaranteed. Like, there's not even a question about it. He 300% damage increase and AoE stuns on his ult. Fucking incredible. But then they just said, why not give him a spammable AoE so that you could grind with him? Right? Why not just make him the best grinding unit? Because he's going to be able to do so much damage and then also just fucking nuke the enemy no matter how much damage or how much HP they have. Okay? And also, he just does really good damage. So after he ults, remember, for 2 turns, I believe, 2 turns it is, he's able to only use his skill 1. But his skill 1, you'll see me doing 1 to 1.5 million usually with just the skill 1. Because of that big damage increase and how many stacks you get. Actually, this is taijutsu. If this was jujutsu, it would be like 3 million skill 1s. Just imagine that. That's fucking insane. But yeah, this Gojo is able to do a lot of damage with this skill 1. And considering the fact that he's just a support that does damage, it's fucking insane. But more than that, he works on any color team, right? So you could slap him on with every single DPS here, like Toji, Itadori, Yuta, okay? But then we go to the con. Is that for a lot of free-to-plays, it's going to be hard to use him with a lot of other units because most of the big units that you're going to have, Gojo, 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 right? So if you don't get the other really good units like Toji, okay, like Itadori, like Yuta, right? you're not really going to be able to use him on a lot of teams, but still, he's able to solo carry in a lot of instances. And we are for sure moving away from Gojos, considering we're going to Shibuya arc. We're probably not seeing a Gojo for a while unless they decide to do a Shibuya Gojo. That would probably be the last one, and then after that, the reign of Gojos is definitely over. So this Gojo long lasting is going to be insane because he's able to work on any color team, and especially if you stay up to date with units in the future. Well, listen, for green, you slap red Gojo alongside Nobara because debuffs, and you could put Geto and Nobara together, or just Megumi, right? And then for red, you work with Hoji or Yuta. And then for blue, that's the only problem, really. Blue's the only one he can't really work with, if we're being real. Unless, I mean, sure, but it's really hard to make it work. And then yellow, he could work with Itadori and Degumi, making a very strong option with Degumi especially. So he's just such a broken unit. And like, by far, it's crazy how every Gojo got better, but I'd say yellow and red Gojo are for sure the best out of the four, which makes sense. They are the two most recent ones. So I'm done the video. I just wanted to have a fun video kind of talking about all four Gojos, talking about their positives and the negatives. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. And by the way, this guy does leave the battle, but the match is done before you leave the battle anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So just wanted to make that clear. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.